Okay, so today I'm going to talk about another method of smoothing called smoothing groups. Now, we've shown you hard surface supporting edges before, and they're fine and dandy, they work really well. You get these nice, everything retains its shape nice when you put the smooth on it, but the downside is that it seriously increases the poly count for everything. So it's not too bad if you're just making one wee thing, but having 3,000 odd polygons for one wee pistol, which is going to be a tiny part of whatever scene if you're, later on when you're doing big scenes. It might be a wee bit high, especially if you're taking it into a game engine. A lot of things in 3D is all about polygon economy. Not so much in the future with Unreal 5 coming out, but certainly for now, and it's definitely a good practice to get into. So what I've got here, I'm just going to isolate these. Let's just get that smooth off. So these have both been smooth actually. So this one here has supporting edges and is nearly 900 polygons. This one here is 300 polygons with the smooth. So you can see the difference. That's 3 times as many as that, right? That clearly looks better than that though. Like if I turn it on F4, this is nice and defined. Once I put materials on it, it's got that kind of rubbery thing. Sort of molded rubber look, whereas this looks kind of a bit blobbier. It depends what you're going for, really. Problem with this one as well, actually, now that I mention it, now that I notice it, is that the back isn't that curved. I would like the back to be a wee bit rounder than it is there, but these edges are holding it tight. So what I've done here is I've copied this guy over and I've just deleted all the supporting edges. If you don't know how to do that, then this is how you do it. So I'm going to go, and as long as everything's in a loop, remember your loops, you double click on a line and it'll select an edge, and it'll select the entire loop. If you control backspace, it'll delete it. If you don't hold control and you just push backspace, it looks fine, but it leaves the vertices in, so you're going to end up with n-gons all over the place that you potentially can't see. So always use control backspace. And I'm just going to go around and delete all the supporting edges that I put in. I'm not actually going to do that now. I'm just going to go over to the one that I prepared earlier. And what I'm going to do is instead I'm going to smooth by smoothing groups. So you see here in the Turbo Smooth modifier there is a smoothing groups option, and that interacts with something you need to set up. So by default Max will just kind of randomly assign smoothing groups. What they are is it kind of treats, if you separate polygons by smoothing group, then it'll smooth them separately from each other and retain any kind of edges and things you have. So you can't smooth an edge with it, but you can smooth like a big curve like that, which is what I'm going to do. So at the moment I've got them all selected. You'll see one is highlighted. They're all on smoothing group 1 just now. So I'm going to separate them out. I want the bottom to be its own smoothing group, so I'm just going to select all the ones in the bottom. In fact, I'm going to do that in a more sensible way. Alt, remember, deselect there. And then I'm just going to click 2 and deselect 1, and you'll see instantly that changes. That black shadow usually denotes that they are part of a smoothing group, whereas you'll see that has no black shadows coming off from the edges. So it's not a great guide, but it gives you a rough idea, and sometimes you might get these weird looking things. So I'm going to do this wee bit at the front here because I want that to look like a wee kind of nubbin, I guess. Yeah, we'll make it part of that. Right up the front, a kind of hard edge bit going up the front. I'm going to pick that smoothing group 3, deselect 1. You'll see that's changed as well in terms of the shading. And then I think everything else can stay as part of smoothing group 1, which it was originally. So if I turn on Turbo Smooth, nothing happens because you need to check smoothing groups. And you'll see it's changed there. Now it's not done the best job because it's kind of struggling to know what to do here. But you can see there that it has curved the back while retained, turn off the edges, while retained that edge at the front there. So again, there's no kind of right or wrong way to do it. This bit's causing it problems, I think. There's no, hard edges, supporting edges are fine, but they can up the poly count, so smoothing groups work well. They work really well if you want to do like a faceted sort of thing. So if I make a sphere, and let's put on F4 here, I'm just going to do this super quick, so let's just move it. Why are you not changing? Have I drawn another sphere by accident? Let's move the segments down to like that, and it's going to try and sort of smooth between them. So you could, if I render that just now, yeah, it looks quite boxy, but you can see it's got this kind of weird shading thing going on here. I'm going to convert to editable poly and just go for smoothing groups, and I'll just do them. I won't do every one individually because that would be mental, but I'll maybe smooth that one separately. So hang on, they're all currently on 1. So I'm going to change that one to 2. I'm going to change that one to 3. I'm going to change that one to 4. I'm going to change that one to 5. And then when I render it, it should look a bit more edgy. Yeah, so you can see the edges there, much more defined. If you want to go a wee bit a step further, you could do them all individually and create a really faceted looking sphere there, but I mean, clearly doing that might take quite a lot of time. You're best being organized with this if you can. So that is smoothing groups. They are a good thing to get used to. You won't use them all the time, but you'll definitely find them useful sometimes, and they do interact with other things as well. So if you bring them into other programs, smoothing groups can be useful. For example, if you ever start using ZBrush, smoothing groups you can bring in, and they can be what's called poly groups in ZBrush, which are massively handy things. It's also handy to get used to that because we're going to do a very similar thing shortly using material IDs, and that is setting different codes to each polygon or group of polygons so that different materials can affect different parts of the same mesh, which is quite cool, but we'll get to that another day. So smoothing groups are fun. I say fun, they're kind of annoying to get used to, but they're hugely useful. At the moment you probably won't have a massive amount of use for them. I'm quite happy for you to just do the supporting edges thing, but if you want to practice it and get a mix of things going on, then that works too. You can mix and match between these methods quite happily. There is another method which is a modifier called crease. I don't know if I'll bother doing that just now though, because it is quite fiddly, but I'll show you at some point. I'll maybe show you in class, but I'll make a separate video for it. Alright, so smoothing groups, how fun. So I'll fiddle a bit with that, I'll fix this bit, this is annoying me, and then you can do the rest of that to make it much lower polygon than it is. Alright, bye.